Hello and welcome to Call Me When They Kiss. I'm Sydney.
I'm Issa.
And
I do the spiel, huh?
I can do okay, let me try, okay?
Okay, yeah, you try.
Every Friday, Issa and I review a romance movie and sometimes a TV show. And every last Monday of the month, we have a bonus book episode for a romance book, which today is our bonus book episode. We are talking about 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. And have we announced our books for next month? No. Have we chosen
No, I
our
don't think we
books?
have. Yes.
Besides
don't we have
Atmosphere.
two?
Did you pick the second one?
Well, Kylan picked it.
Okay. Okay, well, reveal it to me now.
Let me look it up. Well, I think it's called Boyfriend Material,
Oh, I've heard of that one.
but I can't remember who the author is.
The other one we're doing is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which actually we were just talking about if there was like any news updates we wanted to talk about. I saw that is being adapted.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too.
So it's in very, very, very early stages. So there's not much news other than somebody bought the rights, I guess. But I'm really excited. I don't know if it will be a movie or TV show, but Issa, ever since watching Brokeback Mountain, I'm just like, oh, Issa has to read Atmosphere. It's
Because
so
of
good.
Wait. Wait. What does it have to do with Brokeback Mountain?
Well, not very much. Other than just the fact that you said that, like, after you watched, like, Brokeback Mountain or Heated Rivalry, that you were like, oh, everybody, like, you just wanted everybody to, like, watch it, you know?
Oh, okay.
And
That's
that's
how you
kind
feel
of how I
about
felt about
Atmosphere?
this, yeah. In the way that, like, it's just, like, so, it's, like, raw and emotional, and it's like that big moment in Heated Rivalry, but, yeah, it's just, you just have to read it, okay? Which
I'm
now you
excited.
have to.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, for sure now. I'm excited for that one. Okay, I looked up Boyfriend Material. It's by Alexis Hall, and it looks like we get some fake dating.
Oh.
So yeah, we're doing 2 books in June just because we couldn't decide we couldn't decide between the two. Kylan really wanted us to do Boyfriend Material. I think that one will be more lighthearted
Yeah.
than Atmosphere, which is probably good. We're like balancing it out.
So you can pick which one if you want so it's like a rom-com book,
Yeah.
and Atmosphere it says a love story on the front of the book, and I just feel like that's like the most accurate way to describe it. Like, it's not a comedy. It's not like super heavy. Like, a lot of the book it's just like these women's stories, you know? And it's a love story, literary
You really
fiction,
need
I
to
guess,
read.
with romance.
Sydney and I have both only read one Taylor Jenkins Reid book each, right?
I know. Yeah.
Sydney's read Atmosphere, and I've read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And you really need to read that one.
Okay, that reminded me of something I didn't write in my notes, but that was referenced in this book.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Zoe Kravitz?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll need
We
to
need to
talk
talk about that.
Okay, anyways, we'll move on from our book announcements. I'm excited.
We have a busy month. We're doing,
Yeah.
well, okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves because we still have one more May episode coming out. This Friday we'll be reviewing Roman Holiday, so we're throwing it way back. I think this is our oldest one we've done.
Yeah. And then June is filled with new releases. I mean, we're doing 2 kind of throwbacks the first week of June, and then it's like new release.
Yeah, and you know what else? One of them is a book. Like, I feel like I gotta listen to the audiobook of Every Summer After.
Okay, we'll just tell you which ones we're doing so you guys can keep an eye on it and just be prepared. Office Romance is coming out June 5th. This is when the show comes out, not when we're doing our episode. But the show comes out June 5th. The other one is what? Voicemails for Isabel? That one comes out June 19th. And every year after is what Amazon is calling the adaptation for the book Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. That's coming out June 10th. 2 of those are like brand new original rom-com stories, which is great. We were just talking about how we're not getting enough of those, so that's cool. But one is an adaptation And we've only read one Carly Fortune book, right?
Yeah, what was it called again?
This Summer Will Be Different. I liked it enough to want to read another one of her books, and then I just never got around to
Never
it.
did.
So yeah, I can commit to that. I'll commit to reading the book before the TV show comes out too.
Yeah, I will too. Another book to TV adaptation that I kind of want to talk about, and I think you mentioned it maybe in our off-campus episode, the Boys of Tommen series.
Oh yeah.
Are you gonna like read those and watch the show?
Honestly, I don't know. I was telling Issa this, but like I saw a trailer come out for a book. I think the author's name is like Erin Hildebrandt or something like that. And she writes these like midlife women's fiction beach read type books. And it's starring like Jennifer Garner. And I saw the trailer for that and I felt like much more intrigued and interested in watching a story about middle-aged women than teenagers. I just think that I'm like past teenagers, but I have such strong FOMO. Are you gonna watch it?
Well, that's what I've been like. I think I'm gonna watch it. I don't know if I can resist, but like I've just been so perplexed about the whole thing because I think they're kind of heavy books, as in like thematically heavy.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to figure out if they're explicit, like if there's graphic sex in them. And that's what I'm so confused about because they're teenagers.
Yeah.
But I've heard that there are like a couple spicy scenes. And I'm like, I don't really know. That doesn't really seem appropriate.
Yeah, the like controversy that I've
but
heard
maybe
around
I don't
it.
know.
Well, yeah, I have no idea. I don't know the answer to that. I just saw that like a bunch of women were like sexualizing the characters.
Yeah.
Which is still weird.
That too.
And I guess looking back, that's what like grown women were doing to Edward. Does he count if he was like technically 100?
I guess that's true.
But yeah, I just can't relate. Now that like I'm almost 30, I just can't understand like how you can like be so obsessed with like a teenage fiction boy.
I know. Well, I was just thinking about Conrad. But like
Okay, but he was an adult by season 3.
yeah, and like the actor, I feel like that makes a difference too if the actor is older. But it's still weird. But like for this show, Boys of Tommen, it seems like they cast pretty young. Like the main girl looks really young.
I agree. I did see the cast.
Well, let us know if you think we should read these books and watch the show. But at the end of the day, I have FOMO and I will watch. I saw this TikTok of like someone about our age. They were like, so when do you grow out of watching these YA shows?
People in college. But you know what? Like, I just graduated college 3 years ago.
It was only 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2023. I took a long time to graduate, but
I guess, yeah. I graduated 6 years ago.
I mean,
with my master's degree. Not to flex on you.
Well, no, I was just going to say, like, I guess you can consider me a college student even in the past year.
Yeah. But you're right, though. Like, I want to watch Boys of Tommen, but I also want to watch the Ellen Hildebrandt, Julia Garner show. Or Jennifer Garner. I literally always say Julia Garner. Like, if we're talking about Julia Roberts, I say Julia Garner. If we're talking about Jennifer Garner, I say Julia Garner.
Well, there is an actress, I think, named Julia Garner.
Yes, and she's the least famous of the three. So I'm like, why am I always saying her?
That's so funny.
The other thing we wanted to talk about was Emily Henry has finally broken her silence. She kind of sounded like she didn't want to talk about it.
I know. I wonder if she's like contractually obligated, but didn't want to lie. I don't know. Like, it was such a PR answer of like, you know, it's my baby, but it's also the fans' baby, and now it's like the director's baby, and we just have to trust in their vision. And I'm like, okay.
But if she was, like, sent to defuse the situation, I guess I just thought she would have backed Patrick Schwarzenegger a little bit more or been, like, condemning the
Yeah.
the
extreme
online
hate
hate
or-
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
But
that's so
she-
true.
You know what I mean?
It's so bizarre that she said nothing about him. Like, his name has never come out of her mouth.
Yeah, and she still doesn't follow him, right?
I haven't checked. Are you checking?
I don't know why, but, like, I feel bad for him.
I know.
Like, it's not really his fault, you know?
I'm not
And what's
gonna
he supposed
lie.
to do? Be like, okay, I'm dropping out because you
No, I
guys
think I
bullied
would.
me out of it.
Like, imagine that, like, I get a job and, like, the creator of the company, like, doesn't even like me.
Yeah.
And the whole world is, like, in my comments saying they don't like me. I'd be like, oh, it's okay. I can find a different job, no problem.
You know what I think he can do to save this?
What?
Besides having a really good Gus transformation and, you know, proving us all wrong. Imagine if him and Phoebe Denver started dating IRL.
Well, isn't she, like, married and has a child?
Ah, dang it. They need to do something to, like, get us to care about him. But I think
I
you're right.
know.
I think she is married. Yep,
Well,
she's not
honestly-
following.
She's still not?
Uh-uh.
That's crazy. Because last time she was announcing it, like, she announced Phoebe right away. She announced both Alex and Emily right away and was, like, very vocally excited about it.
Yeah.
And if she
And he
really
follows her.
That's so embarrassing.
Oh my gosh, I feel bad for him. Emily, just follow him back. It's not his fault.
Okay, you know what? I'll make a reel about this.
Maybe it is his fault. Maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger called Yulin Kwong and was like, you have to cast Patrick.
He'd actually say, you have to cast Patrick. But, like, I actually was going to make a video about this anyways, so maybe now I will, and I'll add my more support for him. But I'm having a movie night on Friday, and we're watching Vampire Academy. And when I was pulling the movie poster to, like, put on the little, like, invite, I was just reminded of, like, how unattractive the MMC was that was cast and, like, how disappointed people were. Like, honestly, I kind of forget that movie happened because I was, like, such a big fan of the books, and the movie turned out so weird. It actually stars Zoe. How did we decide the last name was pronounced? Deutsch.
Yeah.
But they hired this guy that looked like he was, like, pushing 40. And he is not attractive. He's, like, some rando Russian dude. And after looking at that movie poster, I was like, you know what? I need to go back and say I'm sorry to Patrick because honestly, I don't think it could get worse than that. And at the end of the day, like, I've had a lot of books I love get made into terrible movies. And then I forget they exist, honestly.
I was gonna say, because I know you love the Vampire Academy books, but I had no idea there was a movie. Did it go to theaters?
It was, like, written
Really?
by the, like, I think it had the same, like, writer as Mean Girls and the same director as
What?
Heathers. And it was, like, gonna be this, like, big thing. And then they made it into a Peacock TV show. They tried again 2 years ago.
Recently?
2 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
And it didn't get renewed for a second season. I've
I
had
feel
2
like-
chances for one of my favorite series, and they both failed.
I really need to read them because you always talk about them.
So, speaking of vampires, just kidding. I don't have any. I don't have any segue. Was there anything else we wanted to discuss? Okay. So this book, 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Where should we start? Should we start with the marketing? Should I start with some fun facts about the author? Should we start with our feelings?
Should we start with a synopsis?
Oh, yeah,
A
that's
brief
good point. Do you have a synopsis? Should I find
I'm
one?
trying to decide if I want to take a stab at it. Should I?
If you
Why do
can.
I feel nervous? Well, it's because I feel like it's always a little bit harder to give a synopsis of a book that's like jumping timelines.
Yeah.
Okay, but here I go. You can feel free to cut in. City will fix it on the cutting board. That's a little inside joke for our loyal listeners. Okay, so 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. So our two main characters are Eva Mercy and Shane Hall. And they met as seniors in high school, and they both come from pretty rough backgrounds and childhoods. See, this is why it's hard to, because that's another thing I actually wanted to mention. Definitely check the trigger warnings before you read this book. And like, let me just issue a couple trigger warnings for the rest of our episode. The book deals with self-harm, alcoholism, sexual assault. She doesn't really get she doesn't get raped, but there's like an attempted
Well, actually,
sexual
I
assault.
couldn't tell if it was like implied that she had been like assaulted in the past.
From
but on
other
the page,
guys?
she like stopped the attempted one.
Oh, well, no, she did say at one point a guy she was kind of dating,
Oh,
she didn't want to have sex with him.
Yeah. He
So,
like coerced her.
I guess she did get raped. What were you saying? Did I miss
Drug
any?
abuse.
Drug abuse, yeah.
It had a lot of heavy themes.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway. So Shane and Eva meet and they have this instant connection. They understand each other really quickly just because of, the things that they've both gone through. And they meet because it's like her first day at a new school and she's trying to make friends. Since she's like the new kid, some of the other kids start picking on her basically. And Shane, even though he just barely met her, he like defends her and picks a fight with the kids that were like picking on her. So then they both get like beat up basically. So they end up at the hospital, long story short. And then they run away together out of the hospital and they go stay at this random house that I won't bother explaining why Shane has access to this house, but trust there is a house that they're basically hiding out in. And for 7 days in June, they sleep together, do drugs together. And I want to talk about that too. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, yes. Something very important about Eva's character. She has chronic migraines and they're extremely severe. And as a teenager, like later on in the book when she's older, she can better manage the migraines. But yeah, like when she's with Shane at this house, she's doing like hard drugs to manage the pain basically.
And that's why she like did self-harm too.
Yeah.
Was to like distract from
the pain of her migraines. Shane at this point is already an alcoholic too at like 17, 18 years old. Okay, you take it. Oh, I need a break. You
Okay.
You pick up.
Okay, after we're done with the synopsis though, I'm going to read like the Google synopsis, like just
Should
one
we
paragraph.
Just do that?
No, because they're so different, and I want people to like see the contrast in like what we were expecting and what we got. Okay.
I thought you were saying like when we're done with this, I'll just read the real one and then we can edit out Isa's bad one.
No, it's just like a little like one paragraph blurb or whatever. Okay. So I guess we said that we're doing a synopsis, so you should just know that this is gonna like have spoilers. We don't find this out until the end of the book, but basically Eva ends up overdosing when they're together and Shane doesn't know what to do. He ends up going and finding her phone and calling her mom. And her mom comes, calls the ambulance, whatever, but also calls the cops on Shane because she said that, like, he was supplying the drugs, that he's, bad influence. What?
She even thought that he was, like, the one hurting her.
Yeah, like with the self-harm, yeah.
Yeah.
So she has him arrested, and he ends up going to prison because he was tried as an adult. He'd already been in the system like 2 other times before that. Eva doesn't know that. She doesn't know her mom called the cops. She doesn't know that he even was in prison. She just like woke up after being saved by the paramedics or whatever, and she thought that he had just like left her and then like never reached out to her ever again. In the meantime, Eva had moved on with her life. She like went to Princeton, right?
Yeah.
She becomes an author. She starts writing these like smutty vampire books, and Shane becomes an author as well. I think his like path to sobriety took a little bit longer, but he also became an author and he was a teacher. And so he's kind of like a mentor to other sort of struggling youth, and he writes these books. And we find out that like both of them were kind of writing these books based on like their experiences and based on each other. And so Shane writes a book with a character named 8 that's based on Eva, and Eva writes this vampire romance with the two characters based on her and Shane. And how much time had passed? 10 years?
I think
Longer.
like 15 years.
15
yeah,
years,
because
yeah, 'cause
she's
her
like
daughter.
33
Yeah.
in the present day part of the book.
So she had ended up getting remarried and then divorced because he didn't really know how to like deal with her like medical needs and things like that, and it just like wasn't working out. Yeah, she has a daughter, and basically she shows up at this event, and Shane shows up because he just feels like it's finally time to like face her and like get closure with what happened and everything like that.
And at this point, he's almost 2 years sober.
Yeah. Where should he go from there? I mean, I guess from there out, there doesn't need to be a ton of detail. Like, basically, they reconnect, and it's like it instantly picked up from where it left off. Like, their connection never left. Like, it's so easy to talk to each other.
And Eva's been mad at him this whole time because she thought that he, like Sydney said, just abandoned her, basically.
Yeah.
But then she finds out that it was her mom that called the cops on him. And then, should we talk about what happens at the end?
Yeah.
So, kind of at the beginning of the book, we're introduced to a kid that Shane is mentoring. His name is Trey. So, Shane, he like mentors these kids, but he's kind of a nomad. Like, he just moves around and he doesn't want to settle down anywhere. But then these kids have his number and he is always there for them when they like call him and stuff. But when he's with Eva, this kid, Trey, he's like calling him, trying to get a hold of Shane, and Shane's not picking up because he's with Eva. And then the next morning, like, he gets a call from the hospital and he finds out that this kid that he's been trying to help has been shot and is in critical condition, and it's not looking good. So he immediately flies out to go be with this kid in the hospital who does end up dying, but he misses a brunch that he was supposed to go to with Eva and her daughter. So then Eva's
And he never told them.
Yeah, which that's something I want to talk about. Like, I don't know why he couldn't just send her a text and be like,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, like, I'm having an emergency.
Yeah.
But then, it's the third act breakup, some miscommunication. So she's mad again and thinks, oh, he's just always going to leave me. But don't worry. He comes back at the end, and luckily it doesn't get dragged out too much. He explains what happened, and of course she understands. And Sydney was just telling me before we started recording that she couldn't remember if she finished the epilogue or not.
Yeah,
Do you
because
need me to tell you what happens?
Yeah, because like the end of the book, and sometimes I just skip epilogues, so I'm realizing maybe I need to like finish epilogue. I always just figured like, oh, it's
crazy.
just extra. Because like sometimes in fluffy romances, like the epilogue is just like their wedding, they got married and lived happily ever after, and I'm like, yeah, like it's okay, I don't need this.
That's crazy.
But yeah, like where it ended before the epilogue was like they hadn't really found a resolution, and she was like, maybe this is all we're destined to be. 7 days in June, we meet up every X amount of years or whatever for 7 days, and then
because this kid dying, like really rocked Shane, and he was like, I need to keep working on myself.
Yeah.
But then in the epilogue, they're like texting a bunch, but they haven't seen each other. It's not even, I don't even think that much time had passed. It was like a month or two. But then Cece, who is Eva's editor, publisher, something like that, agent, I can't remember. She's like really nosy and a busybody. She basically tricks them both into like, they think they're coming to this like book event, but it's like this really romantic date that Cece has set up for them. And that's like how the book ends. Like, they're like, okay, yeah, let's just be together.
Okay. We just went through the synopsis like in chronological order. This was not how the story was being told in the book. It was a lot of like present day and flashbacks and present day and flashbacks to like before she had even met Shane, and then flashbacks with Shane, and then back to the present day, and it kind of jumped around. And so it wasn't like this heavy stuff was happening this percentage of the book, and then this percentage of the book was like them falling back in love. It was like the heavy stuff was intermingled throughout the whole entire book. And so I say that because like I feel like it's important to know that the tone of this book is like pretty heavy throughout. And so this is like the synopsis that's on Google, just a little blurb. A second chance romance novel about two Black authors, Eva Mercy and Shane Hall, who reconnect in Brooklyn after a passionate week together 15 years prior, navigating their complicated past, shared traumas, and undeniable chemistry over 7 days. That is like not the book that I read.
Yeah.
A second chance romance after a passionate 7 days. No, the 7 days they spent together, like, was when they were in like the depths of their despair.
Yeah.
And were using drugs together the whole time. I mean, and that's not to say that like they didn't have a bond, you know, but like it wasn't like I was picturing this as like these two authors back in college had a 7-day super romantic fling.
Yeah.
And life took them different ways and they reconnected. I went into this book with like such different expectations of what the story was going to be because of how it was marketed. Because I was telling Issa too, on the front of the book, it says a sexy modern love story. This is not a sexy story.
No.
I would never, ever, 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 ever read this book and think of the word sexy. That's not to say it's a bad book. It's just not a sexy book.
Well, it's funny because, like, even the cover, when you picked this book for May, I had heard of it, but I knew nothing about it. But just based on the cover, without reading the blurbs, I thought it was going to be like a sad book. Because it doesn't have the stereotypical rom-com cartoon cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was going to be like a heavy book. And then I read the synopsis before I started listening to it, and I was like, oh no, this is like a fun rom-com. And so I had like whiplash like 3 different times, because then of course I actually started listening to it and I was like, whoa, okay. It is funny that you bring up the marketing and like the different mixed signals that we were getting.
And I think that's like, it's just such an interesting day and age that we live in, that we have to like sell things based off like what people are buying. Oh, you want a sexy, spicy book? Oh, yeah. This one's sexy and this one's spicy. Read it, you know? Because otherwise people won't pick it up.
That's the thing though, like, yeah, it was not, like, it wasn't an Elsie Silver book.
Yeah.
But, even though it had some heavy stuff in it, it still was, like, it was funny and it had some spice in it.
Yeah.
It was both. But if you're picking it up only expecting like a spicy, lighthearted book, that's not what you're gonna get.
So what do you feel? Because, you know, some people read, and we've talked about this before, but some people read Happy Place and they're like, I don't like this. There's not enough romance. This is women's fiction. So, like, what do you think the balance is then, like, with a book like this? Because I did feel like it leaned a little bit more towards, like, literary fiction with the overall story it was telling versus, like, a romance. But I guess, and maybe this is just, you know, sharing our own personal preferences, but, like, where do you draw that line to be like, oh, this is, like, a fiction book with romance, or romance, capital R, you know?
Yeah, I don't know where to draw the line, and I don't know,
Like, if there's
who's
sex
the
in
final
it,
say on this.
does that mean that it's a romance?
Yeah. Well, and I don't feel like the sex cheapened the story in any way. So maybe it's just becoming more accepted and normal to just have it in there. I don't know. And I can't believe I'm about to do this, But when Sarah J. Maas went on Call Her Daddy, she said, like, I'm writing about characters' lives and sex is just a part of life. So what's the
Yeah.
big deal about having it in there? So I don't know if that answers your question, but that is what I thought of as you were talking. And you know what? I like it. Like,
Yeah.
I think based on the romance books I've read with a capital R versus the ones that people argue are more women's fiction or literary fiction, I think I prefer the latter.
I agree.
So I like it. It's like, oh, I'm getting like interesting, thought-provoking story, and my reward for it is a spicy scene or two, which is really
Yeah.
all I need in a book. With the romance books with a capital R where it's like every other chapter, I get bored really fast, or I'm like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah. I think that like it's a tricky conversation sometimes to navigate because people get offended if you reduce a book down to just like, oh, it's like a spicy book or whatever. Which I can understand with some books, like Throne of Glass, for example. Some people are like, wah, 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 that's just very porn. And it's like, huh? Like, have you read these books? No. But I think it's fair to say, like, some books really are just sort of fluffy. And that's not like an insult. It's just like you read the books with two different purposes, with two different
Yeah.
expectations of like, oh, this is like lighthearted and entertainment. That doesn't like make that value any less than other books. I like to read all sorts of different books. Typically, yes, I would prefer the ones that lean towards more the ones that people are like, no, this isn't enough romance. But sometimes those other books are just like fun. And
Yeah.
sometimes life gets so heavy that does like serve like a really good purpose that we could read a lighthearted, cute, romantic like book to escape. And that, yeah, I just feel like I need to like really emphasize that that doesn't make a book less than, because even like Eva in the story, she writes these sexy, spicy books, and there were comments made by other people of like, oh yeah, like you just write fluff. And instead of saying, like, I would just say that maybe instead of saying, no, I don't, be more like, yes, and, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know, like,
Yeah.
people love it and it still serves the purpose.
And she kind of like comes to terms with it at the end and kind of realizes, you know, how much her fan base means to her, and she kind of adopts the attitude of yes and. But I almost wish there was just so much other stuff going on in the book, so I guess maybe this just
Yeah.
wasn't the author's main point she was trying to get to, but I almost wanted that to be developed more and have her like accept herself and her writing a little bit more explicitly, because they did kind of dog on it a lot throughout the book.
It actually reminded me of like in The Devil Wears Prada 2, when she's on that date with her boyfriend, he was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, when you get back to real writing, when you get back to real writing.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, it was kind of never mentioned or brought up again throughout the rest of the movie. And I'm like, why didn't she say, like, this is real writing?
Yeah.
She was like, oh, yeah, like, I do want to get back to real writing. And then, like, she's staying in this role, you know? So I'm like, wait, so, like, does she feel like this is real writing now? Like, it never, like, came full circle, like, back to that. And I felt like it was kind of similar in this book. I think actually part of why I was so thrown off was because, like, the tone at the beginning, like the beginning of this book, when they were having these conversations about her romance books versus the stories of like Black people's struggles, and, you know, why can't there be any stories that are just about like Black joy, and why does it always have to be about this, this, and this? And then the book was exactly that.
I didn't quite know what to make of that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like, I thought when they were like starting the book with that like, oh, like, that's kind of neat. She's like calling this out, and then this book is going to be the story they never get.
Yeah.
But it
But
was
then it
about
still
like their
was.
struggles.
Yeah. Well, did you like it?
I did. I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't put it in the same category as a lot of other romance books that I like, and so it doesn't feel like appropriate at all to like talk about this book in the same conversation as like Emily Henry books. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And a lot of times like they are kind of like brought up, and I don't know if it's just because, you know, Emily Henry does like touch on some like deeper emotional struggles or like things like that, but I do think that the story and messages, like the overall message, was like greater than just like romance. And so I think it was like a really interesting book to read, and I did enjoy it, but I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, this book was so romantic. You like romance books, you should read this. How did you feel about it?
I liked it. Yeah. I liked it, and it was fun to mix it up a little bit and read a romance book that wasn't like every other romance book we normally read.
Yeah.
And I did think the writing was good. Like it
Oh, yeah.
wasn't cringing me out in any way. I would definitely read more books by this author. Yeah, it just definitely doesn't fit in the same category as like when we say romance books, like the cartoon cover books that come to mind.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it like a 3.5. There's just so much that I was like, maybe the problem is I finished it like pretty recently before we started recording. But even like their original 7 Days in June back when they were teenagers, like I don't know, I feel like it was supposed to be set up as this like epic romance that they had, or maybe that just goes back to the marketing, but it really was not a healthy dynamic at all. And then I feel like that was obviously they grew up and matured and they like overcame all of their struggles, but like they never addressed that again, like that week that they had.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that even make sense?
Yes, I agree. I think she's a good writer. Like the way she writes is very well done. I think that the story though, it's really difficult. There's two parts. It's really difficult to nail second chance romances, one, and two, books with time jumps and the back and forth timelines. And I think that it's even more difficult to combine the two. Because when a book starts and I don't know our MMC, but I'm just supposed to know that they had some sort of epic love, like it's harder for me to like get on the same page that they are. And you have to get quite a bit into the book to finally get to the because the flashbacks, like I said, they're starting before she even meets him, like her and her mom's history, you know? It was just like harder to like really feel the connection they had for each other that they're describing in the present day, but that I haven't read or seen yet.
No, that makes sense.
I think it had a lot of really good elements, but it's like hard to accomplish all at once in one story with the jumping timelines. Like even like the parts about like her history and her passion project felt like a little bit rushed there at the end. Honestly, I think it could have been split into 2 books and that I would have enjoyed it even more.
Yeah, she did cram a lot in there. I even already forgot about her researching her ancestors and
Yeah.
the history of the matriarchs in her family.
Like this would not fit in a movie. If this was going to get adapted, it would need to be at least a miniseries.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I would definitely watch it.
It
was entertaining, like it kept me engaged the whole time.
Yeah.
Now I do have a couple things. Okay, and these are lighthearted critiques, okay? And this is like kind of specifically about the romance and not any of the heavier, deeper stuff, cuz like all that stuff I thought was interesting and
Yeah.
Number 1, they had sex kind of early, and it wasn't that satisfying to me because they haven't seen each other for 15 years and she's supposed to be all mad at him. And then they have sex and then she's like still kind of mad at him, so she just leaves.
And
And
again,
I
this
just
was before we even knew their history, right? The first
yeah,
time.
we didn't know all of it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just really like my sex scenes in the romance books I read to be really romantic. So that's just a personal preference. And the other thing was like that kind of happened 2 or 3 times where like they would be together, she was half-heartedly mad at him, but then they immediately just start like hugging and touching each other and they have this connection. But then they're like, "No, we can't be together." But so then they leave each other, but then they're like, "Oh no, but I still want to be with you." Like that happened like 3 times.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about that before I move on to my next critique?
No, just that I agree. And I prefer like a lot of tension and build up to that.
Yeah.
Some people don't need all the romance and like that's okay. But yeah, like I'm the same way. Like I prefer the, the candle lights and the romantic dance
Yeah.
and like make a whole scene out of it.
And I just
So,
like it to
yeah.
be like, "Oh, finally. They're finally
Yeah.
kissing."
Yeah.
Okay, my next thing, which I think we already kind of touched on, at the end, it's not even people always gripe on the miscommunication trope. It's not even miscommunication. It's just lack of communication at all.
Yeah.
So, like we said in our synopsis, he like ditches brunch with her and her daughter because he wants to. It's like a totally 100% valid reason to miss brunch.
Yeah.
Why not just send her a text? And she's like texting him and calling him. And that was never explained. Like, it was never explained. There wasn't
I
even
think
a
he said
half-hearted,
just
"Oh,
like,
my phone died."
yeah. Well, I think he said like, I totally forgot, but there was no explanation of like, okay, well, one, like, okay, let's say your phone died. You forgot? Like, I know that it's like a big crisis moment happening, but if I was reuniting with like the love of my life, I don't think like any crisis would have me like forget they existed.
Yeah.
Because if you remembered she existed, you'd remember your brunch,
Well, and he forgot momentarily, but he remembered like on the plane as he was
Oh,
leaving, which I'm sure because he was like, it was early in the morning. He took the first flight. He could maybe he missed her by like an hour or two, but it's like, well, you could still text her.
yeah. And it
And I
really,
just don't. It's just not realistic, like you said. Like I would never forget. And I think people, even if like, because I think at one point he was like, well, now I've blown it, like I've screwed it up, so why even bother? But I just don't think people are really like that. Like,
no.
if you had the chance to reconnect with someone, they like told each other they loved each other. Or
I'd
maybe
call
that
him
was
as soon as I
after.
could and be like, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I'm so sorry. Somebody I knew just got shot and died.
Yeah.
And then she'd be like, oh my gosh, that's no problem at all.
Yeah.
Call me when you get your stuff sorted out. Like, what?
And then he showed up anyway and told her eventually. And it's like, well, duh, of course. And
Yeah.
also, duh, of course, she was totally understanding.
Yeah.
So,
It gets harder
far
to
as
explain miscommunication things like in a very modern world. Like Romeo and
yeah,
Juliet, like it works because they
they
had
didn't have
really dumb
iPhones.
ways of communicating.
Yeah.
Okay, not dumb, but inefficient. But like now it's harder to get behind.
Yeah, in Romeo and Juliet, the friar or whoever he is, he like sends a teenage boy to tell Romeo what's going on. It's like that is the last person I would ever trust an important message with. A teenage boy?
It's a really bad game of telephone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and my third and I think final thing, I'm kind of over the precocious child trope.
Okay, actually I did forget about that. That was actually one of my main critiques. I think maybe my only really strong one was like, I really don't like reading about children in books. I don't like hearing their dialogue. I don't like I don't like reading the conversations between an adult and a child. I don't think adults know how to like write children very well, like their voice, like I didn't really like it.
Well, exactly, because they always it's very common for them to make them, like I said, precocious. Like the children in these books that we read, they're always like super smart, super observant because the author like uses them, to expose the character, like explain
Yeah.
the characters to us, oh, this child is very observant, she's picking up on these things. There's like some metaphor in there, but it's like it never comes across as genuine and realistic. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some super smart, clever, funny, witty kids out there, but like I've never met one quite that smart and observant.
And like the minimum age for somebody like this character, the minimum I'd say would be like 15, more like 17 maybe. Definitely not 13.
Yeah.
Like, no.
I think she was only 12.
Oh, she was only 12? Even worse, yeah.
Maybe we're
Yeah,
not giving kids enough credit. Maybe when I have a 12-year-old, I'll be like, oh, she's a genius. Trust, she will be a she.
maybe. I mean, like, my niece is about to turn 10, and I know that's still 2 more years till 12, but, like, there's no way she's, like, charging people for therapy sessions, and, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eva's daughter, her dream job is to be a celebrity therapist. And so she would therapize her classmates.
Oh, yeah, that was, like that reminds me, it was kind of a random plot point that, like, she got in trouble for, like, doing that, and that Eva then needed to convince Shane to be, like, a teacher at her daughter's school. And at the end of the day, it was like, what was the point of that? Like, we don't ever see
Well,
him be a teacher there.
I thought it was going to be to solve like the long distance problem or like getting him to settle down in the same place that Eva lived so that they
Yeah.
could be together. But then, yeah, it never really seemed like it would have been an issue. Like, he had no ties or commitments anywhere because he had been moving around anyway. So if he
Yeah.
wanted to be with Eva, he could have just moved there no matter what.
Yeah.
There was a lot of random stuff. Like we said, this book was chock full of stuff.
A lot of stuff was happening. And I really, really feel like if it had been split into 2 books of, like, the before and the after, I think like I said, I already enjoyed the book, but I think I would have liked it that much more, and we would have been able to, like, explore the romance more because we could have, like, had a whole book of, like, who she was when she was 17. We could have really, like, understood these characters first and then understood, like, the adult versions of them, My only it's not even like a critique. It was just like something that was like difficult for me, I guess. I was a little bit surprised by the on-page drug use. I have honestly a lot of extended family members that have struggled with drug abuse, and it was like a little bit I don't even know, like jarring, I guess, to like actually like read them doing the drugs. Do you know what I mean? And it made me wonder, like, is this like triggering to drug users? I guess that's the whole point of trigger warnings at the beginning of a book anyways, but like I just wonder that the impact that has on people that maybe struggle with those things because it wasn't as like subtle as some of the other themes.
Yeah. Which goes back to how it's been the marketing of, a sexy modern romance.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not, like, offended that she didn't put trigger warnings at the beginning of the book. Like, I think at the end of the day, everybody's responsible for,
Yeah.
if you know you have triggers, then be careful of what you're reading and look into it for yourself. But, I mean, yeah, I can imagine a lot of it would be triggering for people.
Yeah. I think that was the only thing. Like, I just don't think I've ever read a book before with like I said, like on page, like drug use and things like that. I mean, it didn't like romanticize it at all though,
No, yeah.
It's not like that I even I'm not even saying, oh, she shouldn't have included it. Basically, I was just surprised that it made me uncomfortable. But,
Yeah.
I will say at least like it was not like romanticizing their past lives like at all. And both of them at the end of the day like came around and saw like who they were before, and that even though that had like led them to each other, that they didn't want to be those versions of themselves, you know?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the things they were struggling with too were due to their circumstances. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't have the support that they needed, and Eva, specifically, her drug use came from her chronic illness. Yeah.
So the parts where they were a teenager took place in DC, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that part of the stories, actually, I was like, oh my gosh, I can totally see this because I was a substitute teacher in DC. Well, not technically like DC, but like within, the 30-minute radius of DC.
Mm-hmm.
And like my schools growing up, we've already talked about is like very different experience than like your schools, but
Mm-hmm.
the schools in DC, like a whole different experience. Like
Really?
I actually only subbed for like a week and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not built for this. Get me out
Is
of
this when
here.
you were like pregnant?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that you did that when you were in DC.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pregnant. No, like it's like a pretty well-known fact that yeah, the schools, it's just hard. Like you said, like they were product of their environment, and I think that like when you live in areas like that, you realize just how much the whole entire like system is built against people.
Mm-hmm.
um I read books like this and I think I'm able to like understand it a little bit more, and because I've like been in those areas, I just think like it's good books. It's kind of like Brokeback Mountain where it's like not the super romantic, great happy ending, all of this stuff kind of story, but like an impactful story that people can read to like understand the experiences that people go through
Mm-hmm.
that live different lives than you were raised in.
Yeah, totally. No, I think that this was a good choice. It was good to mix it up. I thought of something else.
Okay.
I'm thinking of all the like lighthearted stuff.
Good.
Well, I wanted to ask you about this. So I was reading reviews on Goodreads,
Mhm.
and I actually was specifically looking for reviews from Black women because I was
Mhm.
like, well, I want to know what they think about this.
Yeah.
And a lot of reviews were complaining about all of the pop culture references.
I read that too.
They felt like they were really over the top, and specifically Black culture references, Black pop culture references. And I remember when Abby Jimenez's book came out last year and she mentioned Reese Sand and she had some pop culture references, people were annoyed about it. I know how I feel about that type of stuff. How do you feel about it?
Um I feel like okay. I feel like I didn't mind it as much in this because when I did get the reference, I was like, "Dice, I know that one." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like this annoying over the top thing for me because I wasn't familiar with like every single one. But
Uh-huh.
when there was one, I was like, "Man, like yes, like I'm in this circle. I know that reference." um yeah, it didn't rub me the same way as like reading about Reese Sand in a contemporary romance book, you know.
Well, the way I feel about it, it really doesn't bother me at all. Even the Resand one in the Abby Jimenez book, I didn't care because, like, again, this book is a little bit heavier than most of the romance books that we read.
Mhm.
But when I'm picking up a modern romance story, I'm just like, it's not that deep. I don't really
Yeah.
care. I'm like, it's fine. I didn't even notice like the over the top references. I mean, I knew she was making them, but I was just like, "Oh, this is just like the voice of this author."
Yeah. I guess
She's trying to
honestly
be funny.
it depends on the reference because I have read a lot of books where they reference Twilight and I always get really excited. So it depends how much I like, and it's funny because like I like Resand, but maybe it's because they're both too modern. Like when modern mentions modern, it feels
Yeah.
different than like a callback to something nostalgic. I don't know. But that does remind me then of the
Zoe
reference.
Kravitz?
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz. Okay, so I think I actually cut this out of our other. What episode was it that we were talking about Zoe Kravitz? We
I
were
don't know,
talking
but
about Harry
I know it
Styles and
was
all of
recent.
them. I removed it because you know how people are about Gaylors, you know? But okay, so we made some sort of joke about Zoe Kravitz being engaged to Harry Styles and that nobody really cared because she was like a habitual fiance. Like she gets engaged a lot. And Issa brought up the 7 Lives of Evelyn Hugo and how that kind of sounded the same. And like we just mentioned at the beginning of this episode, well, actually, I don't know if I'm going to edit that part out or not, but is that like a spoiler?
About Evelyn Hugo?
Yeah.
Nah, it's fine. If you haven't read Evelyn Hugo by now.
So spoiler alert, Evelyn Hugo is she like bi or is she a lesbian?
I can't remember. She's one of the two.
But she marries what, 7 men?
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't read the book. So like what's the point? Is it just like
I don't think she ever marries the woman, but like the great love of her life was actually a woman.
So we kind of like had this little giggle that like Zoe Kravitz, well, like we've heard other rumors that like she might be queer. And then this book called it out specifically. Do you remember what it said?
No, they just said something about Zoe Kravitz being a lesbian, and
Yeah.
it's fine. I mean, if you feel like you should edit this out, you can edit this out. But you guys, like, I'm sorry, I just have to come clean to you guys. I'm a Gaylor, okay? So me as a white woman, there's sides of the internet that I've been on that have speculated that Zoe Kravitz is lesbian or bisexual and has been linked to Taylor Swift, okay? You can call me crazy or whatever, it's fine. So it was interesting that then in this book by a black author about black characters, like, so
like
there's
who else
it
is
seems
she
like there's
rumored to be with?
multiple, there's multiple rumors about her being a lesbian.
Yeah. Like
from different
are they
communities.
talking about Taylor Swift? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And I immediately stopped and texted Issa and I was like, oh my gosh. She's just like us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. Well, I just had like a fun fact about this author. The thing that surprised me most is that she is a long-term fashion editor and the current editorial director for, I'm going to butcher this, is it Estee Lauder?
Yeah, Estee Lauder.
Yeah, she is the current editorial director for Estee Lauder.
Oh, wow. And she's an author.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, 7 Days in June is in development to be adapted into a television series.
Oh, good. I'm actually excited about that.
Yeah, me too. And it's being produced by Will Packer, who I was like, why does that sound familiar? That's who produced Yumi and Tuscany.
Oh, okay.
Because remember when we were like, what? How are no black people involved in this? Somebody left a comment that says Will Packer directed it or produced it. It's his production company that is making this movie. So that's good. Or TV show, sorry. It is a TV show.
Okay, I'm actually excited. You guys, this book was good. Like, I liked it.
Yeah, like everything we said is basically can be boiled down to the point of if your preference is the lighthearted, cartoon-covered romance books, this might not be the book for you. If your preference leans more towards like heavier themes or like real life experiences, but it's still a romance, then you might prefer this.
Yeah. No, I think this was a good pick. I think I've gotten all my thoughts out about the book. Do you have any closing thoughts for us?
No.
Well, overall, I would recommend it. If you didn't read along with us, but you tuned in for the episode because you're a loyal fan and you were curious, I say you should read it.
Yeah. Like, even if the romance is, like, less satisfying or romantic than other books, I think it's a valuable story to read.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned a lot from it, so I would recommend it.
Yeah. All right. Well, don't forget this Friday, our Roman holiday episode comes out. And then, I mean, we went through like our whole June schedule, but Cindy will be posting our official calendar soon. So you can get excited for all of our June episodes.
I'm excited for June. It's a little overwhelming that it's all new. But hopefully you all continue to follow us on this journey and have fun with us. And if you like our podcast, leave us a 5-star review. Don't forget to follow us, and don't forget to call us when they kiss. Just kidding. That's like another inside joke. From
Cindy,
our
like
very
tried
first
to make that
episode.
happen like the first couple episodes. But it just like really
flow
doesn't
quite
make
naturally.
sense.
No, it really
Yeah.
doesn't. Like, no.
Because you guys aren't going to call us. Maybe we need to set up. I've seen other podcasts do this.
Yes.
They set up like a phone number and listeners can call in and leave messages.
I've seen that.
But then what if
that
people
would be cute.
were mean?
Well, honestly, I need some more entertainment in my life. No. People have already been mean.
We don't even really get mean comments, but we just get annoying ones, and I can't even handle that. And so I don't think I need people leaving me voicemails.
I got some mean comments on my Emerald Fennel Twilight adaptation video. But, like,
yeah,
to
but
be
more
fair,
of those comments were like, "Oh no, not Emerald Fennel." Like I didn't really feel like they were personal, you know.
They were like, "You're a stupid head." No, they were just like, "That's a terrible idea." But if I'm being completely honest, like, I was sort of
Rage
like, I wouldn't call it rage baiting, but like I knew that it was gonna like elicit strong reactions.
Yeah. Hence
And,
why
like,
you posted it. That's how you make
yeah,
content.
exactly. And it
folks.
worked. So,
Yeah.
haha, no. Okay, well, we'll see you on Friday.
See you guys on Friday. Bye.
Bye.